and even business health. And today we're looking at business health today. And that's because we share various knowledge from various experts with you. So we're going to be sharing with Paul Weber. He's going to share his experience with us. He is the owner of Love Audio Production, and he'll be sharing various tips with us on how to effectively conduct your live stream. So it will really hold a mirror up to me as he shares various points with us. Now, this was recorded previously, so bear with me while I share my screen with you. Thank you for joining us again today, and listen to the end when I tell you what's coming up next. I introduce Paul Weber. He is the owner of Love Audio Production. So welcome, Paul, to the studio.
Linda, thank you very much for having me. How are you?
I'm great. Great. Good. Yeah, and I hope you are too. Doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's difficult, isn't it? You know, we've been thrown this curveball, yes, you know, back at the beginning of 2020, and it's all about how we cope with it and how we deal with these things, isn't it? Especially in the business world.
That's right. So that's why I've sort of solicited your help to just help us understand how we can diversify or get our message out there, because a lot of it has to go out now on video and audio and streaming, etc. So I know, you know, we're sort of coming to the end of the lockdown, but I think we'll still be doing a lot of this type of work. Don't you think so?
I think it's going to be the new norm. I think a lot of businesses have discovered that actually we can not only save ourselves a fortune in fuel and carbon footprint and saving the planet and all that kind of thing by doing these online streams, but you know, they're far more convenient for you to see a room of your colleagues and peers, you know, rather than having a face-to-face meeting over a coffee and, you know, that kind of thing. And it's not always productive, is it? You know, you do a lot of networking yourself, Linda, so you know these things.
Indeed.
And they're not always as productive as you'd like them to be. And that's not always your fault. It could be somebody else's fault. Maybe they're not that particularly interested, but they'll do all the right moves. But, you know, at the end of the day, is it somebody you want to do business with? Well, you know, the only way to find that out is obviously, you know, face to face or on a video call, or, you know, people are far less inhibited when they are behind the screen, if you will. So, you know, they're in front of a camera, and, you know, depending on what they've got going on in the background, some of them can be quite distracting. But, you know, we can go over some of those things and get some tips and hints for you. So
great. Yeah, okay. Good. Well, before we go any further, let's just backtrack a bit, and let me just understand a bit about who you are, or share with the audience, because everyone won't know who you are, but share with the audience who you are, you know, a bit of your backstory, your background, and then how you come to be where you are now.
Sure. Well, thank you very much. Anyway, like I say, thanks for having me on. I began life in Devon, in South Devon, grew up in Teignmouth, and from an early age, I wanted to be a radio presenter. From the age of about 11 or 12, I wanted to be a radio presenter, a radio DJ, as we called them back in the day.
Yeah.
And so in my early teens, I strived to kind of replicate a radio studio from home. And my dad helped me build a desk and all that kind of stuff. And I used that as a mobile DJ thing as well. So I was out DJing parties and things at the age of 14, 15, 16. I then had my first agent representing me in Exeter when I was 17 and 18. Yeah. And got my first radio gig, proper radio gig, after doing hospital radio in Taunton in 1988.
Okay.
So some time ago.
a bit a while ago. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I managed to be in on the ground floor at a radio station that was just launching in Taunton in 1989. And that was Orchard FM. And I was there for 5 years as a broadcaster, which was brilliant. And it was my dream come true. It was my dream job. And, you know, since then, I've been in radio stations all over the country, literally from the northeast of England all the way down to the south coast at Portsmouth, and everywhere in between. So
Right.
I've done many different radio shows, afternoon drive shows, breakfast shows, weekend shifts, all that kind of thing.
Sure.
And during that time, because of the voice I have, people go, "Oh, you've got a perfect voice for radio." And I'm going, "Well, maybe I could do voiceovers as well." So I launched.
Okay.
So I launched Love Audio around about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing voiceovers for radio stations, for businesses, for video narration. I've just, in fact, started a book narration as well, narrating a book, make it into an audio book. And I'll talk about that a little later on. But, so the power of the spoken word is really powerful. For instance, on the business side of things, I help people to have a telephone on hold marketing message. So when they're able to put their callers on hold or transfer them, they would hear a voiceover by me or a female voiceover, whatever it might be, telling their callers what it is they do. Because I bet you bottom dollar that not everybody knows what you do. Even your best clients don't know what you do.
Yeah.
So,
that's true. Yeah.
I
mean, they have to hear the story a few times first before they kind of get to grips with what you do, don't they?
And there's a phrase, thank you. There's a phrase in radio that says repetition builds reputation. So you have to get that message drilled into people before they're going to respond, before they're going to buy from you, before they're going to respond and look at your product.
Yeah, well, indeed, yeah. But now, how did you find or how did you switch from sort of audio, etc., and what you were doing with that, or did you like that better then? The voiceover stuff as opposed to the DJing.
Well, radio's changed an awful lot. So radio has evolved. There's a lot of big conglomerate radio stations that have bought out or bought up very smaller smaller incremental and commercial radio stations, and that's happened across the country and across the world. It's just the way things are. So last July, I was made redundant from my day job, and decided then to increase my ability to do voiceovers for people, and also to break into the video world. So I go live every Monday night on my YouTube channel, which is brilliant. That's going well. Building up those subscribers. It takes a while, but and again, it's about repetition. If you show up on time and the people like what you do, it's a know, like, and trusting. You know that, Linda, from networking things.
It takes a while.
Yeah, people buy from people, don't they? So so I found myself diversifying into video. I joined a group of people from America called Live Streaming Pros, and they helped me get the kit right and the look and all that kind of thing. And
I got to write that down.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic group to belong to. They do a challenge, and this is a good one for you, by the way. They do a challenge twice a year. Okay, it's free. It's free, which is unusual these days, right?
Yeah.
And it's called LEDA, LEDA, live every day in April or August. So they do it twice a year. So LEDA, live every day in April, and they give you tasks to do every day. Okay, and it's a private Facebook group that you go live in. All right, so there's no pressure. You're not broadcasting to thousands of people. You're broadcasting to a couple of hundred people that have joined this challenge. And everybody's there to help each other. So if you're an intermediate, if you're a beginner, if you're more advanced, no problem at all. You're going to get feedback from everybody in the group, which is fantastic. And the good thing is that you're not alone. And I found that so rewarding. I started off I looked back on my first stream and it was awful, Linda. It was absolutely shocking.
Oh, I know, mine was too. Absolutely shocking. I think I've come a fair way since, but yeah.
You certainly have, and you've got the look right, and you're showing up every week, and people like what you do, and that's the main thing, and that's what you're striving for. It's not about the hard sell. It's about what can I offer my viewers or my listeners, in my case, something that's going to benefit them in their business or in their life or whatever it might be, and you're showing up and you're doing that exactly in that exact same thing. So fair play to you.
Everybody's concerned about health, so that's what I want to do: present tips that will not only help them with their own personal health, physical health, but as well as emotional and their business health, because we're all here. We all got to make some money somehow, or we're running a business, working, whatever. We got to do it. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
And just touching on that as well, I found the challenges and joining this particular American group that I mentioned earlier on. I found that incredibly beneficial to my mental health.
oh, good, good.
Because of
Yeah.
because of coming out of redundancy. I knew it was going to happen anyway. I'm in the process of
Right.
selling my house as well, so all that's going on.
Hmm.
There's all sorts of changes going on in my life, and I find it going live therapeutic. So
Yeah.
it's beneficial to me as a health standpoint,
Yeah.
and
Oh, good.
you know getting
Mm.
that reaction from people, having people show up, and you putting the comments in the chat and all that kind of stuff. It really does give a boost to
Mm.
your mental health and mental well-being.
And you feel like you're helping people too, don't you?
Yeah, and that's the main thrust of the show. Really, is that I do a show for audio for beginners, literally for beginners, and I'm a beginner myself. So very often, me and the viewer stumble through things, and they'll
Mm.
chime in and go, "Actually, I think if you try this, that might work." And
Yeah.
very often it does. And so it's a two-way thing. I'm
Mm.
doing it from a beginner standpoint. They are also beginners, or they may be a bit more intermediate than I am, perhaps, and they'll chime in with a tip, and I go, "Oh yeah, okay, that works. Yeah, that's fine."
Yeah.
Or try this,
Yeah.
and they'll go this, that, and the other. It's brilliant. It's good.
Well, you've certainly helped me with quite a few things. Even today, you've helped me. So I've learned a lot already, really. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm in the process of putting together a podcasting course. So if anybody wants to start a podcast, and a lot of people do, they're thinking, well, I need to get my business
Indeed.
online, but I'm not sure how.
Hmm.
My idea is to look at podcasting from a radio presenter's point of view. So what do you need? You need a good microphone, you need a good interface, you need a good camera, perhaps if you're going to do a vlog instead of just a podcast.
Hmm.
And you need to have a room that's not echoey. You need to have some soft furnishings in the room. You've done that. You've demonstrated that really well this morning because your sound is great. So
Oh, thank you.
I'm coming at it from an audio production standpoint, in that
Hmm.
you want your podcast to sound polished. You don't want it to sound
Right.
stuffy or suit and tie kind of thing, but you want it to sound professional, and you want people to be engaged with it week in, week
Sure.
out, or month in,
Sure.
month out, depending on how frequent they are. So from
Well,
my point of
sign
view,
me up.
that's
So
well,
I will
thank
be
you.
joining you. I
You're
will
the
be
second
joining you on
you're the second person this morning that said that. So I need to get my finger out and get it launched, don't I?
that. Oh, definitely. Yeah, well, I know one or two people that will be listening in
Right.
that will also be interested. So definitely get your finger out for sure.
Yeah, and a lot, and you'll know this as well by talking to a lot of business people. I suffer from procrastination. Okay,
Mm.
hands up.
Yeah,
You know
we all.
that, that
Yeah.
that's me. So I know what I want to do. I've got people in Australia and America that are showing me and telling me what I need to do, but can I do it? No, just and
Well,
there's
we're
this.
busy with so many things as well.
Yeah, there's this thing called imposter syndrome. Have you heard of this?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so a lot of self-doubt comes from this
Mm.
imposter syndrome, and you go, well, who am I to be able who am I to show up and tell people what to do? I'm just a novice myself. But the thing is, you should come at it from a different angle, and we talk ourselves into not doing it. So you need to come at it from a different angle and go, well, actually, yeah, they are probably maybe better than I am at doing this particular thing, but my viewers or my listeners haven't heard it from my standpoint,
That's true.
right? So they
Very
haven't heard
true.
it from my point of view. I have a different point of view than you do. I have a different point of view
And
from
a
Joe
different
Blogs.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and different experiences, and you bring that one of the tutors of this particular group in America go, well, they very often do a live stream, not a live stream with a V, but a live stream with an F. And
Right.
very often that's literally going out with your mobile phone in your local area, your local park, and it's about life. It's not about business or what I'm trying to sell somebody. It's about you and your surroundings and just going live. with a camera and with a
Mm-hmm.
phone. It's as simple as that. And we can all do that these days. You know, we all
Yes.
have these
Well,
fancy phones with a decent cameras on it, and we just go out and do it. That's
well,
the
when
beauty of
we're
it.
out of lockdown, we'll be certainly doing a lot more of that, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you know, nothing's stopping us from getting out there and doing it solo. You don't have to be with a bunch of people doing the same thing. You can
Very
just get out
true.
there and talk to the camera. And you know, very often my live streams have had more views than my lives.
Seeing a bit of background and scenery and so on, and that tends to be exciting for people, I think. You
It
know,
does, yeah, and
find.
it's about engagement, isn't it, Linda?
Mhm.
It's about making sure that your audience is engaged with what you're trying to say or do. So you know that's the point.
That's the point,
Um,
right? So let's get into it a bit then. You're going to
hmm,
share with us some tips then on how we can get the best out of our streaming and our audio and that sort of thing. I believe
yeah,
that's what we we arranged that you would talk to us today about.
yeah, and I think one of the first things is you need to decide what your content is going to be. So that would be tip number one: is deciding what content you are
Hmm.
going to stream. So for yours, it's
Yeah.
about lifestyle and health, and you know, for me, it's about audio production from a beginner's standpoint. So you need to find out what you want to be able to present to people, and there are different styles of broadcasting, or you know, vlogging or podcasting or whatever it might be. So
Mm-hmm.
is your stream going to be a how to? Are you demonstrating something to show people how it works? Are
Mm-hmm.
you doing a live sale? Okay, that's more about income generation. But are you doing a launch? Are you doing a launch of a course? Are you doing
Mm-hmm.
a launch of an event coming up? Perhaps you know. Um, are you doing a DIY channel? Are you looking at two camera angles where you're looking down on something that you're constructing or putting together?
Right.
Are you just doing a Q&A, questions and answers? You know, that's very powerful, but you need to build that audience first. Otherwise, you're going to be sat there with two or three people asking the same question for a full hour. So
Yeah.
that comes later generally in the live streaming journey. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, are you just a talking head? Are you on screen? Are you just chatting to people? That's
Mm-hmm.
another angle that you could look at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of the youngsters are doing gaming channels, so they're doing live gaming, showing people how to move around the game. I'm not a gamer at all,
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't know the
Oh,
terminology, but
no,
you know,
it's
they're
it's
showing
out
a
of my
game.
my
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
under my remit, so it's above my pay
Mm,
grade. I think is the
mm,
phrase. Um, but very often it's engaging. So you know they're demonstrating how they play the game, and
mm.
their viewers are going, actually, there's some hints and tips about how I can do this, that, and the other. But again, it's about finding that niche or niche, as the Americans call it. You know, it's about finding that niche and drilling down further into that niche, and you
Mhm,
know, doing some keyword research on YouTube. Just look at the videos that people are watching and look at the amount of people that are searching for that particular niche.
mhm, mhm.
You know,
I
so
think they tend to be following a lot what the influencers are doing. I think more so now than anything. And I don't know if it's in our age group at all. A lot of the influencers are a good 20, 30 years younger than us. So they
yeah,
have their
and
own remit there.
a lot of the influencers have become the Forbes magazine top wealthy people in the world, haven't they? You know,
It's unbelievable.
because of monetizing their channel. And
Yeah.
so what they've done is they've built it to beyond 1,000. You need 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and 4,000 watch hours in order to qualify to monetize your channel. Okay.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Good
so
to
you,
know. Good to
and
know.
I'm not there yet, by the way. So
I'm
I'm nearing
certainly not there yet.
I'm nearing 200 subscribers, which is great. So I'm getting there, and you know I know it's a long journey, and you've got to put out content in order to generate those subscribers and those watch hours. Because without the content there in the first place, people aren't going to find you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So another hint or tip for when you do decide to broadcast and whatever you've decided your niche is going to be, create a decent thumbnail. Okay, that's the image that people are going to search for and click on when they're
Okay.
interested in your product or
What-
service. Okay,
So what's a decent thumbnail then? Any
okay,
tips on?
Yeah, let me give you an example of one I've done recently. And by the way, this has got, and I'm talking about live stream, right? This has got more views than this has got more
Carry on.
views than any of my live streams, if you see what I mean. So let me just bring that in and I'll show you. Hang on, add inputs and click on image. Here we go. So yeah, this is a thumbnail that I generated, and it literally was me ironing on a live stream answering questions and answers. I did it for like nearly 3 hours. Look at that. So welcome to yeah, you're invited to Paul's Man Cave live on YouTube, ironing part 3.
Well, that will certainly get attention, you know.
Yeah, and it was as simple as that. And I use a piece of software called Canva.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, excuse me. Canva is a great piece of software for creating thumbnails exactly like that, and it's very intuitive, very easy to use. You drag your images in, and you'll notice that I've got my image on there, and it's useful to have your own image, your own photo of yourself in those thumbnails.
Yeah.
That makes it more personal to you, Linda. So, you know, if you're looking at designing a thumbnail with your logo, of course, that's prominent. That needs to be prominent on that thumbnail, but also having an image of you. And with Canva, you can import the image and click on edit and click on background remover, and it automatically takes out the background that you happen to have photographed yourself in. So yes. you just end up with this overlay, this cutout of me like that with no other background in it.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really cool. And I would highly recommend it. So it's Canva, CANVA.
I've used it myself. Yeah, but I didn't realize that you could sort of use it as a to help with your thumbnails, etc.
It's so powerful. You can also create short videos with it as well.
Yes.
And they have templates for every social media platform you can think of. So YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, whatever it might be. So yeah, you know, you can search those things all day long. It's really good. Really good.
That's a good tip, actually. I like that.
So make sure your thumbnail is going to stand out. Don't make the writing too small so that people can't see it on a mobile phone. You know, when you're scrolling through thumbnails on mobile phones, you want it to pop, you want it to stand out. So use good graphics, not too many fonts, as it were. Try and keep the fonts to 2 or 3 if you can, and hopefully in the same font as your logo. That will make it pop as well. Secondly, you want to make sure your title does what it says on the tin. So like that one says, "Welcome to Paul's Man Cave, I'm just ironing." And it was just literally that, okay? And that's had more views on it than some of my live streams, which is bizarre, isn't it?
Amazing what people consume, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm literally stood here ironing. I'm playing a background music playlist from Epidemic Sound, which is a platform that you can download music and use on your live streams with no copyright strikes. That's important as well, by the way. Don't use copyrighted music on your live streams. So that's tip number 3. Okay, because and I know.
I want to backtrack a second here. You know, with your ironing bit, I thought it'd be great if you did a risky business type of a scene. I think you'd get way more views as well. If you do a little dancing, whatever, you know the movie Risky Business, what I'm talking about.
I think so, yeah. I didn't want to make it, in inverted commas, X-rated. So somebody said to me, why don't you iron naked? Nobody will see you below the waist anyway. I'm going, with this body, you are kidding me, aren't you? No. So there's no way I'm doing that.
You'd get the views anyway, you know.
Well, yeah, possibly the wrong type of viewers, though. That was my concern. Yeah. And you know, because I didn't want to tarnish the brand itself, because I'm still talking about audio production whilst I'm answering the questions and answers with people, even though I'm just ironing a pile of stuff that needed ironing. That's as simple as that. And you know, great comments like, "Wow, you're so domesticated," you know, and you have a bit of banter with the audience as well. It's really good fun. But again, that comes back to the live streaming. So that's kind of side by side with the live streams that I do. Okay. when you talk about your introduction and your title, so title and thumbnail kind of go hand in hand, really. So you want to be able to tell people what it is you're hoping that they're going to achieve from this video. If it's launching my new podcast today, then that's an attention grabbing headline. But then you've got to follow through, so your content needs to reflect that. There's no good putting a misleading title in there if you're not even going to be talking about that particular subject when you get into your live streaming. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
So it's about being transparent and honest with your viewers or your listeners in podcasting cases. All right. And another tip would be, look at what is your value statement? What are you creating content about? So for me, I create content about audio production for beginners that will inspire and help others so that other novices can learn the basics of audio and improve their projects. That's my opening gambit when I do my live streams.
Do you say that every time?
Yes.
Or you do?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes I get the words wrong, but you know what? It's live, and that's half the fun. But if you can rehearse it and get it right, I have it in front of me on a piece of paper. So, so I try and look at the camera, but I'm looking slightly down at the script, and that's fine. And I change it slightly, and I say, look, this is a fun, friendly, and informative way of you learning audio production for beginners. If you're happy with that, let's get started. And yeah.
Just speaking about scripts, just 1 second, just
sure.
to go back slightly. Some people are using the auto cues and those types of things. Have you got a suggestion for that? You could tell me that afterwards if you don't want to tell me now. But
no, I'm absolutely fine with that. I don't use it because I don't have anything set up. With my camera set up, I don't have an auto cue. I don't have a script scrolling through. So generally, I know what the topic of the product, what of the live stream is going to be, and I normally test myself with whatever software I'm demonstrating or whatever hardware I'm demonstrating before the live stream, so I know it's working fine. That doesn't always go to plan, by the way. So there's another golden rule for you: test, and test. Yeah. Always, because I'll give you an example. Last Monday night, or the Monday night just gone, my live stream, I have what's called a stream deck, which is a button like that, and this changes. So, for instance, if I wanted to bring in my name like that, I'd bring it in as an automatic overlay, but I've just pressed a button to make that happen. Okay.
Right.
So that's linked in with my software, and then it disappears. So this failed to work on Monday night. Not every single button did nothing. It was a little exclamation mark by it. And of course, I'm live, so I can't do anything about.
You gotta love technology, don't you?
Gotta love technology, but it's okay when it works. But when it doesn't, you can be sure it's going to bite you. And so, sorry, you can't see me now. I've just pressed the button. Hang on, that's better. So yeah, and again, we're talking about technology, aren't we? So when it works, it works. But when it doesn't work, it's really going to bite you. So again, maybe a fourth tip for you is to test, and test again before you go live. Yeah.
Just to interrupt a second. What streaming software are you using?
I use a software called vMix, and it's made by an Australian company, and I'm on the HD version, and it's about $350.
All right. Okay.
As a one-off.
Some are recommending DaVinci, apparently.
I've not heard of that. I've heard of that as a film editing software.
Film editing, that's it. Yes.
Yeah, but not a live streaming software. No.
You're right. Well, I use StreamYard, as you know, so I know that's reasonable. I guess it works. Okay. I think
StreamYard is one of the 2 or 3 not software based, it's browser based live streaming software. So it's up in the cloud, you connect to it, and you don't need to download any specific software to your computer. That's what we call level 2. Level 1 is going live with your phone.
Right.
Level 2 is going live on StreamYard or Restream Studio. That's another one you could use. Level 3 is using vMix for a PC or Ecamm for a Mac. Okay. Ecamm, ECAMM is live streaming software for MacBooks and Mac and all that kind of stuff, the Apple products. vMix is purely for Windows-based PCs. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Live Streaming Pros is the organization I was talking about earlier on. They say that level 5 is when you've got super duper cameras, beautiful set, lighting, this, that, and the other, real pro notch.
That's when you're a proper influencer then, and you're making their kind of money.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks immaculate every time they go live, and they're all made up, and it's just beautiful, and they've got, you know, stunning backdrops and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's level 5. That's pro. So
okay, got it. Yeah. Well, I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, you know, likewise. And you know, I've honestly, between you and I, Linda, I've spent a fortune on stuff to make it better than it was when I first began. But you know, you go with what you've got. If it's easier for you to just put your phone in a holder, and also because live streaming prefers 1920 by 1080, which is landscape, have your phone like that before you go live. Otherwise, if you go live with it like that, it'll stay like that. And when you tilt it, you'll be like, like that.
On the side.
So start with it like that and then go live. All right. That's another tip for you. Not like that. Unless you're looking at doing a TikTok video or a YouTube short, which is a short you know, like a portrait video, not landscape. But generally, I would suggest going landscape. Yeah.
Sure. Got it.
Okay.
All right. So we're doing the tips still. I'm sorry I interrupted you. So.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'm just going through the kind of things that I think will be beneficial to viewers if they're you know, if they're looking at doing live streaming to pivot their business. Then it's a great opportunity for you to get your brand in front of a new audience or even an existing audience, but you're showing them up close and personal what it is you'd like them to do. It's a call to action. Okay. So, you know, for instance, if I'm going back to, you know, overlays and slides and things like that, if I wanted to get people to subscribe to or to look at my website, I've got an overlay for that, which looks like that. So there's me still live in the picture here, okay? And then they've got an opportunity to look at the website and stuff like that. So that's another way that you can bring your audience, you can engage with your audience and make them do something which is not hard sell. You're just influencing them. You're just asking them to push a button, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know? Quite simply. So
that's a good tip. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, if there's anything else that you want to ask me, please do. You know, particularly with regards to audio, because I'm obviously that's my main thing is the audio side of it. Even though I'm going live on video now more than I ever did, it's still about, because there's a saying that goes about, Linda, and it's people will watch a bad video as long as the audio is good.
Right. Yeah.
But if the audio is awful, they're less likely to watch the video. Okay.
I had a few problems with that myself. You know, a few of mine where the audio wasn't syncing with the video. And I guess one of the tips that I've learned is that you have to be connected to the Ethernet. And I was doing everything on Wi-Fi. So there we are.
By far the best connection is Ethernet. If you can connect directly to your computer and then to your router, then that's a far more reliable platform to go live on instead of Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi is okay if you're in a good Wi-Fi spot. However, different things affect it in different ways. The thickness of your walls, the line of sight between you and the router, or you and the Wi-Fi connector, whatever it is. You know, all of these things affect the Wi-Fi signal. So you're better off connecting via a hardwired connection to your router wherever possible. That will get you the best stability. Yeah.
Good. So yeah, well, we're coming down to crunch time.
Okay.
Have you sort of finished your tips, or have you got a couple more you want to squeeze in?
I think that'll do for now. People are going, so much information to take in. And you know, there is a lot of information to take in. We've literally just scratched the surface, really, with regards to, you know, how businesses can pivot in this day and age. You know, a lot more people, we discussed this off air, didn't we? That a lot more people are now looking at this as a way of working that's beneficial to not only, their health and well-being, but also the fact that they're cutting down on carbon emissions. They're lessening the amount of fuel they're using to go to these meetings because they're doing it online, and you're bringing your viewers into your world rather than taking your world to them. And I think that's very powerful.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, you shared, like you said, you shared some good tips today, I'm sure you have lots more. So maybe I can have you back for a part 2, possibly.
I'd love that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And of course, people can join you as well on your event that you're having, or you said you're doing a course. So maybe you could tell me more about that course, and I'll get the message out so that people can join up on your course.
That's very kind of you. I do a podcast myself, which you can find on my website, which is loveaudio.co.uk. And excuse me, I only do one a month so far. So I've got 3 up there so far, 3 podcasts that you can link to directly from that website. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great, good. So I want to thank you very much today, Paul, and we'll be certainly trying to organize a part 2. So thanks again.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Linda. Thank you for having me.
More than welcome. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
So that was Paul Weber. I don't know if you got some value out of that, but I most certainly enjoyed that immensely. And I got a lot of information and value out of that, because we more or less have to do videos and streaming. We're on Zoom, etc. So that seems to be the new normal, even lockdown or no lockdown. That's what we have to be doing. So it's good to learn how to deal with these various tools, etc. So thank you for joining me today. And next week, we have Lorraine Stamp, who is a sort of happiness coach. So she will be sharing details on how we can have a positive outlook. So we'll be looking at emotional and mental well-being and health next week. So thanks again for joining us. Same time, same space next week, 4 p.m. GMT. See you then.